technology.
Is that good? Okay.
Sure.
Hello, and then we'll create an article tag. We're going to take an article and just create an outline for it, like a square, just to highlight the article tag. So this will be this. And then let's see what it looks like. Okay, so there's no styling. It's a really simple page. This is kind of what I expect. And if we go back here, I have a style sheet that I want to bring in. So I've got a link. Style sheet. This is a style. Okay. So all this just changes everything to nice Helvetica, which is my favorite typeface in the world. You guys like Helvetica? Yeah. You know there's a Helvetica movie? You know this? Seen it? It's my son, 13-year-old. He's 13. He loved it. And so once you watch this movie, it's like you can't not see Helvetica everywhere. And it's kind of like once you start looking for a Prius, you can't not see them everywhere. And I live near Berkeley, so we see a lot of Prius. Yeah, Helvetica's great. I love typefaces. Okay, this is Helvetica. So what are we going to do? We're going to put this thing in a box. This is an article tag, but look, it looks like just an unstyled p tag as well. So there's nothing too interesting about it. So let's create a style sheet for it. And so we'll use article, and we'll set its space now. Is the border? It's border, right? Border. Make 8 pixels solid. I used to use red, and this gentleman will know that I have a new color. You remember what the color was from the last time? Because you can specify ASCII or hexadecimal values. I like that. Unfortunately, the color itself is not that interesting. It's kind of green. I could round the corners. I can round the corners in more ways than you could possibly imagine.
Can you round them in one way?
Well, tell you what. Since you asked, I'm going to go to my links around border radius. Okay. So this is a good example, thank you, of showing off the site. Can I use border radius? Okay. So this says, hey, you're actually pretty safe at using it unless you're in IE 6, 7, and 8. And what does border radius look like? Let's see. Let's go to the border radius generator, and let's create a value of 5. Now we have a rounded border radius, and I'm just going to grab that version of it there. Go back in here, and that's not me. Okay, so let's see if this works. Oh, semicolon. Oh, thanks. There we go. Rounded corners. Yeah. That's a CSS feature right there. The interesting thing about border radius is that it's a good case of where there are some corner cases, no pun intended, of where border radius has not quite been figured out. So this guy wrote a page about border radius compliance and went through virtually every permutation and shows the difference in rendering on the different platforms. Some just punt and give you a square. Look at these corner cases here. It's absolutely insane. So what he did, he created a mathematical model of what he thought a border radius should look like. And he built it in SVG, which is another great standard. And so you can now go through and play with it. So different features here. Yeah, it's beautiful. I just love this. So really, really, and this is just border radius. Imagine video, all the issues around video playback. This is where I would never want to work on a browser, because you could just get sucked into border radius and never come out. I got a border radius, which is awesome. So let's go back now. Let's see what this looks like in IE6. So anyone have IE6? Okay, I have it in Windows XP, which is awesome. Loads really fast. And make sure I have email address. There it is. So under minimal, we load index and no box. That's what we expected, right? Usually before I debug, I ask myself, what do I expect? In this case, I expect no box. It's good. But this page actually, everything else works. So the new doc type and the language tag, everything else works. So how do we actually make that? Let's actually make it, see if we can get this to work. So it turns out the problem is it doesn't understand the article tag, so it's not going to apply any styling to it. So I can fake it out and add a little bit of script right here and pre-create the document type. Document create element article. Save it and go back. Well, what's going to happen? Should get a box. Pretty cool. I added HTML5 to IE6, except for the border radius. That's an exercise left for you guys. So all that happened is that when the document object model, this is a good lesson. The DOM, it's the internal parser. When IE6 converted my code into the internal tree, it didn't know what to do with article, so it dumped it off, created it as a child node, the root or something. And it doesn't allow it to be styled. So by pre-creating it, it creates an entry for it later in the hash table or the I forgot the exact implementation, but it gives it a home so you can do something else. One of the benefits of HTML5 is not something that's visible to the user, but it's the codification, the standardization of what you should do in cases like, what do I do when I encounter an object I haven't seen before? And it standardizes it. So we no longer, the browser vendors, or the user agents as they're called in the spec world, the UA, no longer do the UA people have to reverse engineer or just take a guess as to what the specification, what the implementation would look like. The spec covers it in detail.